So, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the class on tribology. So, in the last session, what you were dealing up, anyone can just brief out or at least the key topics on which we dealt about? Kindly respond. We dealt about what topics in the last session? Anyone in the class? What was the topic on which we dealt in the last class? Nikhil? You should respond. What is the topic we dealt about? No mic. Okay. What about the others who have mic?
What, ma'am?
What we studied in the last class, at least the titles, the topics we dealt about. Forgotten already?
Properties of a lubricant.
Yeah, we studied about the properties of lubricants. We started with which are the equipments which are available to measure viscosity. We had dealt viscosity and viscosity index in the previous class, and then we went on through all the properties associated with the lubricants. And we were just starting up like what are the grades which are available and how to select these lubricants. So that in depth we need to study in today's session. So with this part, I will just share the PPT, just 2 seconds, and we'll start the session. Is the slides visible? Hello? Kindly reply.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So after studying the various properties of the lubricant, so we just started about speaking related to standard grades of lubricants. So you know that the lubricants are being synthesized with respect to different classification of the oils which are available, which are naturally available, and which are synthetically developed. So there are different grades based on it. Okay, so oil classification, you know how it has been classified with respect to the natural or synthetic, and again it will be sub-classified with respect to the grade of the viscosity, with respect to additives you are adding on to improve the enhancement, and with respect to the brand name. So this we have dealt already in the last class, and which are the common brands which are available for providing the grades for the lubricants such as SAE, AGMA, and ISO. So even there are other organizations which provide a specific number for different category of kinematic viscosity range. So if it lies within this range, this is the number you have to use. So if it is falling below the viscosity range, yeah, higher than it, then the number what you assign will be different. So this is a basic thing we had studied in the last class already. And also we spoke about how the classifications of additives will help in enhancement and overcoming the various flaws in an rolling component, right? So if you use the additives, it helps to improve the enhancement capabilities of the lubricant. Like if you use RO, so that will help you to reduce the rust and oxidation which come across when the machine component keeps on rolling, right? So it reduces the rust, means it's helping to provide a smooth lubricant film between the rolling surface for good movement for a long period of time with reduced amount of wear and tear. Similarly, if you use an anti-wear agent embedded within the oil when you develop as a lubricant, so it won't get weared out easily. So because it has an anti-wear glare on it. Similarly, some additives if you add on, so that it helps the lubricant to work in the rolling components at extreme pressure conditions also, where it is working on a heavy loading condition. Whenever the heavy loading condition comes into picture in the machine components which has to be run continuously, so it will be obviously applying some pressure, extreme level pressure for a longer run. So if you use this kind of additives embedded along with the lubricant what you are synthesizing, so it helps to overcome all these flaws and improve an very good quality of lubricant film between the rolling components. And also if you have the additives which is able to scrap out the residual part of it, so even that will be a better version. So these two slides were studied in the last class itself, so I just brushed out. Okay, so there are many grades of lubricants. Usually the grades what we see while purchasing any lubricants, these are 11 main viscosity grades. So it starts with 0W, 5, 10W, 15, 20, 25W. Okay, and it goes on until 60 and 60 plus sometimes. So these grades are usually provided by SAE viscosity grade. So what does these grade numbers suggest? So it is provided with the naming based on the temperature. So based on the coldest temperature, the oil phases and the oil is graded by SAE. That is one of the standard what we follow. So lower the grade, lower is the temperature. So as the grade increases, means it is used for the applications where you need to perform as a lubricant film at high temperature responses. So 0 will be at almost the coolest temperature below the room temperature, and gradually it increases 5, 10, 15, 20, so on. Okay, so higher the grade, higher the temperature, lower the grade, the coolest temperature. So this thing you have to keep in mind. The lower the viscosity grade, the lower the temperature of the oil through which it can pass through. Okay, so you cannot use this low temperature grade lubricant to the place where you need to run the component at high temperature level. It won't fit in. It cannot maintain the required lubricant thickness layer for the smooth movement of the components at high temperature. So you should be specific, first of all, what is your application for which you are using as a lubricant, at what temperature you are working. So what is the upper limit of the temperature it can reach when the machine component is running for a longer period of time. So based on that, you should be able to select a proper lubricant of a specific grade, or else it won't fetch you in yielding and good movement with reduced amount of wear and friction. So this thing you have to keep in mind. So we were speaking about additives and what are the factors which affect. Also you have to see. So the factors affecting the lubricant selection. So while selecting a lubricant, many factors comes into picture for what you are exactly using it. So it mainly depends for which elements you want the lubricant and which type is it, what is the size, the dimension of the element you are using, for which you need an contact movement for a longer period of time. Apart from that, which is the material which has been used to make these elements, and also what is the operating temperature on which the given element has to be moved continuously. Apart from operating temperature, what are the other constraints? Because every moving component will be having some constraints within which it has to move. Those are nothing but the operating conditions. So what are the operating conditions within which the machine component has to move? How well we can provide a good film of lubricant for the smooth flow of the movement across the contacting elements. So that will play a vital role. You cannot, as a fresher, you cannot take a proper decision. Sometimes it happens, you have to take trial and error. You should understand the concept. Okay, this time I took a lesser grade. This was a result I got. Next, I will try with this. So initially, you need to gain the knowledge. So once you are thorough with it, then you can by default with your experience can select a proper grade of the lubricant which has been needed for this particular application. So one has to be very keen enough in knowing what is the operating temperature in which it has to move, what are the operating conditions to which the given lubricant should be feasible and convenient to move on. Indirectly, it depends upon the material of the element, what is the size of the element across the movement you need, and which are the type of the elements within which you need the rolling movement. So this also plays a vital role. Along with this, what is the velocity with which the rolling components are moving? Even that depends whether it is moving at a very high velocity or in the medium range or in the very low. So all those should be checked and a proper remark has to be made. So if you just make an work breakdown structure or a scheduled task, like what is the element, suppose it is bearing across the chain drives or some other gears or any other hydraulic systems where you need the movement across many linkages. If you need an movement, so you should be specific. Which are the type of elements you are using? What is the basic size of the elements? Whether it is huge, yeah, it is medium size, yeah, it is very small. And which are the materials through which it is made upon? So these are indirectly and these are directly affected because the actual temperature in which it has to work, the operating conditions, and with what velocity it has to move. So based on all these concepts, you should provide a remark that this specific grade of the lubricant is good enough for this type of particular movement to get achieved. So this is a proper benchmark, a table you have to make down in order to select a proper lubricant. For that, you should be very much thorough enough in understanding which are the standards which are available, how you will go up if you need a lubricant for room temperature, if you need at a higher temperature, and other operating conditions. So there are many things what you have to understand. So the basic things I have told you, these are the minimum 11 viscosity grades which is essential, which are provided by SAE viscosity grade standard. So lower the grade is a lower temperature, higher the grade is a higher temperature in which you can use on. And the other table shows you in general how a lubricant has to be selected based on a specific application. Every application has to go through the element what you are using, the type of elements you are using, what is the size of the elements you are using, what is the material through which it is made, and what are its operating conditions. So this operating conditions includes the temperature, the constraints, the velocity with its moving, all these aspects. So keeping all these things in mind, you should be able to tackle, do proper analysis and select a best optimal lubricant for a particular application. Okay, so this is in general. So I just told you about SAE grade. So apart from SAE grade, there are other viscosity grade classifications which are followed across the world. So one is the ISO grade. Okay, so this is mainly used as an industrial version oils. Okay, so these are the unit for this is again the centistroke, which is measured in terms of, in short, it is called as CST. And here it is optimal to use at across the room temperature only at 40 degrees Celsius. If you need to use for any industrial applications, then you can go with ISO grade type of classification. The next part is within the industrial specific for gear oils only. So if you need the lubricant for industrial gear oils purpose, then you have another grade of classification which is called as AGMA. Even this is suitable for across the room temperature, not above 40 degrees Celsius. So you have different classifications based on it. And next is the SAE grade, in which you have the option to work at around 100 degrees Celsius and even below the room temperature also. So this is very much essential when you need to work at high temperatures and below the room temperature. So when there is a need of this kind, you can always go with SAE type of viscosity grade. So these are basically used for across the engine. Okay. So here it can work until 100 degrees Celsius And if you need in other unit like centipoise, so then it shows a temperature across 150 degrees Celsius. Similarly, you can work below the room temperature within a range of minus 10 degrees Celsius to minus 40 degrees Celsius. So both the lower temperature limit and the higher temperature limit is there in case of SAE type of viscosity grade selection. Similarly, if you need SAE grade only specific for about gas, also you have for high temperatures until 100 degrees Celsius. So the unit here is measured in terms of centistove, and in centipoise you have for low temperatures from the range of minus 12 degrees Celsius to minus 55 degrees Celsius. So this will be specific about your requirement, whether you need at room temperature or at higher temperature. Even in room temperature, for what purpose? Is it only for in general industrial purpose, or it is specific for gas, specific for engines? Also, you have different grades. So this all things should be in your mind, and you should have a proper groundwork about what are the categories of the grades of the viscosity are available for selection of a proper lubricant for a proper applications. So this thing you have to keep it in mind. And there are other specifications also given for crankcase oils. So you have different SAE numbers which are given. So even in that, based on the performance levels also. So if you need a very high performance, a medium range of performance, and a normal performance also, you have different categories. And there is one more classification called as OEM classifications. So for crankcase oil category, you have three type of grades. One is the SAE numbers, one is across the performance, and other one is the OEM specifications. So these are the three categories available. Apart from that, you have a classification of viscosity only based on a viscosity, the property of the viscosity. So within the given range of viscosity, so which are the type of lubricants available, and only as an use of grease. So grease is a second part of lubricant. It will be almost like a solid, yeah, semi-solid, where the viscosity value will be very high. It won't be able to move very quick. It will just go on with a very slow motion. Why? Because it is highly viscous. So based on, there might be some applications in which you need only application of grease and not a lubricant which can move freely, right? So you have a separate specification grade for grease type of requirement also. So this also you should keep in mind. Apart from ISO, AGMA, SAE for below and high temperature applications, you also have other applications specifically for crankcase based type of oils, and based on viscosity you have a separate classification, and based on the grease viscous level you have a separate specification. I told you SAE numbers, right? So there are specific SAE numbers which are been designated. Okay, so these are viscosity grades for specific engine oils. These are provided corresponding to the viscosity ranges, and these are suitable for high temperature applications as well as in warmer areas or regions. Sometimes some part of the country will be usually cool. Some part of the country will be usually having high temperature consistently throughout the year. So obviously there the temperature, room temperature itself will be higher. Okay. And sometimes it is very chill, so that it is the room temperature itself will be very low, below 20 degrees Celsius whatsoever. So based on all these things keeping in mind, there are different SAE numbers allotted. So these are SAE 20, 30, 40, 10, SAE 50 and SAE 60. So these are the designated grades with respect to the viscosity for a specific application across the engine oils. And you have the other SAE numbers which are called as monogrades. So these monogrades are specific for engine oils. So here the grades are like SAE 10, 20, 30, 40 and 50. And you have SAE 5W, 10W. So it increases from lower the grade is lower the temperature, higher the grade, higher the temperature. So these type of grades could be used in summer season or in winter season also. So gradually you can shift to multi-grades. So this is monogrades. If you need further for higher temperatures, you can go for multi-grades. So you have multi-grades SAE numbers also. So they are available, this type of grades are available for both engine oils as well as the gear oil. So this is specifically for monogrades. Then you have for multi-grades also. So if you need multi-grades, then you have again a different category of SAE number. Okay, so these are SAE number 10W, which can be graded until 30. So this is 15W, which can be graded until 30. And again it is 25W, which can be graded until 50. Similarly, this is just 5W, which can be multi-graded until 30. And again it is 20W, which can be multi-graded at 40. So it can be used both in winter season as well as summer season. Based on the temperature, you can swipe out to its higher level of the grade. So it has an application in two ways, either in winter, both in winter and summer, you can use the same grade, only just shifting from monograde to that of multi-grade. So this type of requirements are also available for both engine and the gear oils. So these are the other SAE number grades, what we dealt about. In general, we dealt about SAE numbers, then we dealt about SAE monogrades and how it can be uplifted for the season changes with respect to the multigrades. So this is just an example of viscosity classification across the winter service using the SAE grade, and this is specific for crankcase type of oil. Okay, so here in winter service, we will not use with higher grades of lubricants. We can use with the lower grades. So 0 will be very much suitable for the very coolest place where the temperature will be even less than that of the room temperature. So here the unit of measurement is in terms of centipoise and not in centi-stroke. And hence, please be careful in which unit you are measuring the viscosities. Okay, so it is like 6,200 centipoise at minus 35 degrees Celsius in winter across. See, minus 35, again it is coming down to minus 30, still chiller and still chiller. Okay, so these are the low temperature viscosities what you can get. And similarly at high temperatures, you can use this for multi-graded system. So this is a minimum temperature and maximum temperature is until 100 degrees Celsius what it has been quoted. So these are the some few like listed out properties of different oil based on different services, whether you need it in winter service or you need it in summer service, or which are the type of classification of the grades which are available to make you understand. Okay, so these are the grades available. SAE, AGMA, ISO, the common thing. Apart from that, you have viscosity based classification and you have grease based classifications, and you have the designations of SAE number across the room temperature as well as related to monogrades and multigrades to swap with the higher temperature regions. And just an example to show how the classification is done in the grades related to viscosity. So here they have taken just an example of a crankcase oil and specific to an winter service condition. So these are the available grades. And we use lubricants to overcome many drawbacks when the machine component has been moving on. So why? Because one thing, you have to reduce the friction, you have to reduce the wear, you have to remove the heat in it, you have to remove some contaminants if it is in it associated, okay, and also to control corrosion to some extent, and also indirectly to provide some means of power transfer. It doesn't happen in each and every case, but at least in some rare cases. So these are all the responsibilities of a lubricant, why it is being used. And if these responsibilities have to be taken care and done successfully, selection of these grades of viscosity is very much essential. You know the purpose, but still I'm just briefing out in general, not very much in depth. Okay, so one thing is, to reduce the friction. This is one of the main function of the lubricant. Okay, so how a friction occurs? Usually a friction occurs when you have like high spots called as asperities, and it results in some collision also. Why it happens? The small surface area which has been generated as a spot due to the fast movement of the rolling components, what it makes, it combines with the amount of load which is acting on the machine component and across the surface of the material, and it causes an extremely high type of loads bearing across a specific area. So this results in the scrap of the material and not a smooth flow of the movement with many jerks, and finally it stops with not a successful rotation movement and not getting the required output. So these kind of things happen when you doesn't apply a lubricant at all. And secondly, how the material across the surface of the rolling component is made. So machine surface resists the movement initially for each and every circumstances. So the resistance which it is being providing for the movement is nothing but as an friction. So there should not be any resistance across the surface layer which it is moving. If you have any resistance for the movement, then you cannot get the required movement. If you want to get the required movement, then there should be a minimum thickness layer of a lubricant in between the two rolling components, so that when the two surfaces rub against each other, then it won't result in the formation of any type of friction. So basically we need a lubricant film to reduce the frictional thing which comes into picture. And also wear. You know why wear occurs. So the wear occurs between the machine surface when the asperities which occur, or it might occur due to any scar, cut, a type of tear which comes into picture, or any type of fatigue during the movements. Okay, so if this kind of things comes into picture, then also it results in the form of wear and removal of some surface across the contact area. So this variation in the wear usually will be at the microscopic level. You cannot identify all of a sudden that this wear has been done. So, and if the wear is been keeping on increasing, then it could be sensed by the human being, and consequent measures has to be taken in order to overcome this wear. So you need to get repaired across the surface. Again, you have to get an required smooth flow of the movement. For this type of things also you have to reduce the wear. So if you apply a lubricant, then it helps in reduction of the wear which comes across any rolling component. So apart from that, the wear also can come into picture in nature when it is subjected to the external environment, where corrosion can come into picture, erosion can come into picture, and even cavitation to certain extents. So all these are not at microscopic level. It could be visualized, the corrosion and the erosion which is coming across. So even to avoid all those things, we need to reduce or to remove the wear to the negligible extent. For this purpose also you need the lubricant. And you know, next function of the lubricant is to remove the heat. Why you need to remove the heat? When the material has been moving for a large period of time, it releases certain amount of heat, right? So if you don't have any coolant at all, then what happens? It keeps on heating, right? So in order to overcome the drawbacks associated with the increased heat across the rolling component, we use as an coolant here. The coolant is nothing but our lubricant. So you need to select which grade of the lubricant is essential to provide the required coolant in between the rolling component, so that you get a proper lubricant film across the clearance of the rolling components. So this is one more function of our lubricant. So next is removal of the contaminants. Suppose when you're making the machine components to move for a longer period of time and you're using some lubricants. Okay, so it should be having the capabilities. Usually use the lubricant to remove the wear and tear and make the moving components to be at room temperature or at cooler temperature. But even one of the function or the property of the lubricant should be to collect the wear debris or atmospheric debris or any type of contamination which come across the working area. So if you use a proper lubricant which can help in reduction of the wear, reduction of the friction, provide the proper cooling, and also absorb the contamination and throw it away from the working zone. So that will be the best possible way in which you can get a very smooth flow for the rolling components without any lacunas. So again, it also depends upon the quality of the lubricant, what you're using, how well it is good enough in absorbing the contaminants and throwing separately out apart from the working area. So this is one of the function of the lubricant why we use on. And next, when we were speaking about wear, I also told you about the corrosion. So the quality of the lubricant what you use should be also able to control the amount of corrosion which comes into picture across the surface when it is subjected to some external environment for a continuous period of time. Okay, so the selection of the lubricant also plays a vital role in how the corrosion could be controlled. Because sometimes where you're keeping your equipment, it might be in an environment where it is very humid in nature or the moisture content is more in it, then it has the chances of getting corroded easily. So to overcome this problem, the lubricant should be having a quality in such a way that it can resist to any of the corrosion action which comes across the surface of the moving component due to the presence of moisture in the environment. It mainly depends upon the geographical area in which you are using the machine components to be moved continuously for some particular output, right? So the quality of the lubricant should be having some agent which will be able to resist corrosion in it. I told you the lubricants, the oil is synthesized, right? The natural one, it is not the natural one, it is the human made lubricants are actually the synthetic one which are prepared by adding n number of additives. So you use this type of different additives for different requirement, like one additive to overcome the corrosion, one additive to absorb the contamination which is coming across, one additive in order to maintain a proper thermal stability, right? So all these kind of additives or the dopants, if you add on in preparing an synthetic lubricant, so the specific lubricant can be used for different applications if it has all these additives within together. So even that type of lubricant will be well enough in using in more than one application. So I told you it mainly depends upon what are the additives you're adding on to the lubricant so that it has all these capabilities in it. So you can shoot a single lubricant with many capabilities or just one lubricant with respect to a specific capability. It depends upon, again, the use or the requirement for which it is being used. So based on the requirements, different classifications and grades are being given. I have just shown you a generalized grade which is available for the lubricant. But if you go at outlet for an industrial requirement, it has still more subgroups of grades as per the requirement, as per the specification, and it is a huge list. So in that, all these things comes into picture, okay? And apart from that, one more thing you have to think is, a lubricant you keep on using, and if you continue the same lubricant for a long period of time, even the lubricant age get enhanced, right? So as the age of the lubricant increases, by default it will be having more corrosiveness within itself, right? And it can easily attack the corrosion things across the surface. So you have to see that what is the time period within which you use the lubricant so that it won't become corrosive by itself. So these are some of the functions related to how to control the corrosion which comes into picture with respect to the external surrounding, how it is being, where it is being used. And lastly, one more responsibility is that it provides a means of power transfer. So what do you mean by it? See, lubricant has been used for many applications. Suppose if you focus on any hydraulic system, right? So you use hydraulic oil here as an lubricant. So this basically provides you dual functions, or the two functions, what we call. The first thing is it fulfills all the demands which I explained you as a function. Okay, so then what happens is, since it is an hydraulic system, obviously it will convert the fluid power into the electrical energy. So this happens in any fluid power system, in any turbines for that nature. Okay, if it is an Pelton turbine or Francis turbine or any kind of hydraulic systems, basically it converts the fluid energy into the electrical power. So it has been converted with a means of increasing some pressure, right? So due to this enhanced pressure, the energy has been converted from one form into the another. So what happens? This increased pressure which has been generated in converting the fluid energy into the electrical power will be made to pass across the hydraulic system by means of an pipe kind of thing, where the mechanical components are working to get the required yield. So this type of pressure which has been generated when you are using a lubricant as an hydraulic oil, this also will be able to provide some amount of power. And as you can also say that even the lubricant has a capability to yield a minimum amount of power transfer. It mainly depends upon to which system you are using the lubricant. So here the power transfer can also occur through the fluid clutch basically in some applications across some industrial system. It does not happen in all the systems, in specific system. Here I have just explained you by taking an example of an hydraulic system. So basically, if they ask you which are the key 6 responsibilities of the lubricant, so I have told you all. One is to reduce the friction, reduce wear, to control heat, to control corrosion, to overcome the contamination, and also some amount of hydromechanical power which comes into picture in the means of transmitting pressure across the components of any hydraulic system. So these are the key 6 responsibilities of the lubricants, which are nothing but the functions which has to go on very smoothly. If it has to go on very smoothly, it is very essential for you to select a proper grade of an lubricant based on the required specifications and classifications. And for everything to happen smoothly, formation of a lubricant film is very much essential. Okay, so how thick the film lubricant should be? What is the cross-sectional area? So again, it is an R&D process. So if you dig on to make a lubricant film for different application, then you will analyze the importance of, if the film thickness is lesser than that of the requirement, you won't be able to remove the entire wear and tear in it. Okay, so how you will calculate the exact thickness of an hydraulic, I'm telling, the lubricant film. So all these influence a lot. So film formation, I'm just telling you for your knowledge. It's not necessary for you to go in depth. How an lubricant film is formed. So it is formed based on only the 4 factors. One is, what is the size of the lubricated machine surface? So you're using some moving components where you need a lubricant for a smooth flow. So what is the size of the machine surface across which contact is coming into picture? So mainly the contact area between the 2 moving components. So that you have to think about. You will be having the dimensions. If you observe, you can take the dimensions of it. And next is, what is the type of interaction you are having between the 2 rolling components? Is it sliding movement or rolling movement or any other kind of movements? So based on that also, you have to think about the thickness of the lubricant film. And third category is, what is the speed with which the machine surface is interacting across each other, either due to the sliding or due to the rolling movement. Okay, and last one is the viscosity. What is the viscosity value of a particular lubricant which has been supplied to you basically? Okay, So all these things plays a vital role. The size of the contact area, the type of interaction, the speed with which the interaction is taking place across the machine surface, and what is the viscosity of the lubricant. So based on these four categories, based on these four factors, the thickness of the lubricant film will be decided. And that is again a huge in-depth area where one has to go on. So in your syllabus, there is not so much kind of thing. Only thing you have to understand, a lubricant film has to be formed to get a smooth flow of the contact with least amount of wear and tear and reduced amount of friction. So if you have to achieve that, what are the factors you have to consider is all these four factors. So that you have to keep in mind. Okay. So this is just an hydraulic oil film which has been done. I have just shown you for your understanding how an film formation takes place. Okay. So this is just an hydrodynamic oil film which has been developed with respect to the force and the velocity with which the moving component has to move, and what is the grade of the lubricant which has been assigned, and how the movement is on. Okay, so based on this, and lubricant film will be generated. Only for your sake of understanding, if I go into depth, that is not there in your syllabus. So kindly just understand the concept. Next comes the lubricant selection. Just 2-3 slides I have, so we will just complete it within 10:30. I have uploaded the quiz for today's class already. So after the session, you kindly complete the quiz. Okay, so how the lubricant has been selected. Until now, we studied what are the grades which are available, what are the responsibilities of the, what is the responsibility of a lubricant, means what are the main functions of the lubricant, why we are using it, right? And based on the need, how an hydraulic film or how an lubricant film can be developed. Okay, so all these you have understood, and the concepts of lubricant and its grades. But how do you select? You select based on some requirement, right? It's again, the requirement will be based purely upon what application you are selecting. So before going, there are 3 main requirements, 1, 2, and 3 points. So before going to that, you should be knowing something about the word base stock. Okay, what do you mean by a base stock? It is a base oil through which you are generating an lubricant, fine-tuning it with many additives by synthesizing, and by synthesizing using different blends of chemical compounds and combination synthesizing techniques, so that you get some material into hand, what we call it as a lubricant. So that is nothing but a base stock. So from here after, if it is told base stock, it is a lubricant which is synthesized in a complex organic chemical blend which have all the complementary things related to the ingredients which are embedded in it due to the addition of additives. So additives, I have told you which are the things what you add to make the enhancement of a given lubricant, like by adding wearing agents and other things. Okay, so here all finished lubricants represent a carefully engineered balancing act between the strength and weakness. So every lubricant which has been developed will be having its own strength and having its own weakness. It depends mainly upon what are the additive agents you are adding to the lubricant. So based on the additive agents, what you have added, so those are all will be the strength. And weakness will be what is the grade of the oil you're using. So you usually get the oil by extracting from mineral oil. So what is the extraction process? If there is any contamination in it, so it will be having certain contamination, means drawback, it will be having some weakness in it. So how you are overcoming that? By adding the additives. So every lubricant could not be of very high quality. So it will be from high quality to the low grade based on how you have synthesized the lubricant, what are the additives you have added, and how the basic oil is been extracted from any of the mineral oil. So these are the things which provides you the quality of the lubricant which are there in today's market. So this is about the lubricant which is in market, which are different grades available. But how, as a customer, you select that lubricant? So you should be aware that The performance properties of these three common types of finished lubricants lies as follows. So you can classify the existing lubricants into three categories. The first one is rust and oxidation inhibited lubricants. So these lubricants are able to overcome the rust and oxidation which come across a moving element. So this is one type of selection what an customer does. Okay, so here the lubricants are selected for machines that mainly operate without any expected machine components which run with continuous moderate to high temperature, high speed or relatively high type of load. So you use this type of lubricant where you want to run the machine components at high speed or at high loads. Usually the type of equipments for which the lubricant used are like pumps, the compressors, the bearing systems, etc. In this type, you use this type of lubricants which is rust free and oxidation will not come into picture. Okay, so these are the examples for it, the pumps and the compressors. The second selection what you have to understand is anti-wear lubricants. Okay, so it provides as an anti-wearing agent. So why? Anti-wear lubricants are selected for the machines that operate with expected metallic component interaction. So you will be knowing what is a metallic interaction which is coming across between the two rolling components, yeah, sliding components. So based on whether it is subjected to low loads or high speeds, so what is the amount of anti-wear agent which has to be across the surface? So that will be decided. So based on that, the lubrication will be selected. So these type of anti-wear lubricants are mainly used in hydraulic applications. Okay. So other machines also which are light and continuous, also which are light and have continuous machine interactions can also go with anti-wear lubricants. AW product is nothing but anti-wear lubricants. So anti-wear lubricants are used when the machine component is very low and when it has to be operated in high speed and when it is subjected to medium or the low loads. In this case, we will go up with anti-wear lubricants. So it will be having an anti-wear coating layer. If you use this same for high loading condition, the anti-wear layer cannot withstand the heavy load. So we cannot go with the heavy load. We usually prefer this type of lubricant for an low load or an moderate load condition. Okay, so this is about anti-wear lubricant. And the last one is lubricants are selected based on the third category. So EP lubricants are selected for mainly the machine applications that operate routinely with continuous component interaction. In sometimes the interaction between the components will not be continuous. It will be periodic at some period of time. When you need a continuous component interaction, that too at very high loading condition, we use this EP type of lubricants. So this EP type of lubricants are typically recommended for the geared machines. Okay. So this is one of the examples. So when you need the lubricant for very high loading condition, you go up with EP lubricants. When you want the lubricants to be used for the contacting surface across low load or moderately applied load, okay, which are of light material, then we go with anti-wear lubricants. And the third one, if you want to keep the contacting surface from rust free and oxidation process, then we go with R&O based of lubricant category. So these are the three grades of these are the three types of selection criteria for a lubricant. So under this, again, one will go for the grade selection as per the requirement, whether you need in room temperature or higher temperature or below the room temperature, whatsoever the requirement is. Based on the selection, again, you'll be having the table for the selection of the respective grades. So this is about how you have to select and grade, how you have to select and lubricant based on your requirement. Finally, we can conclude saying that once the lubricant type and grades are understood properly, it is possible for you to apply any type of lubrication activity in any moving component to the best of the knowledge and provide a good qualitative movement across the machine components. Provided if you select a proper base oil, a good additive material, and a good selection of a grade for that particular application. But still selecting a proper grade of lubricant and selecting the category of the lubricant is still a state of confusion, because there are n number of requirements, n number of machine components, n number of needs and desires of the customers. So what currently the work is going on is, so now one of the company in England, Advanced Tribology Consultancy from England, they are just trying to frame out at least 5 templates for 5 commonly used industrial machine components. So for these 5 commonly used industrial machine components, they will be providing us a depth information and bifurcation in the work breakdown structure, like which is the base oil, what you have to select, how it has to be synthesized, what will be its grade you have to use, and what will be the temperature within which it will fit for that particular machine component, and finally what additives you have to add on, and for what specific selection you can use this. So it will be like generalized term which will be followed across the country because it falls into the category of ISO standard. So it could be followed everywhere in uniform. Okay, but this is only for 5 type of industrial machine components which are commonly used across the world. So they are working on it, and it could be coming out in our near future at the faster rate. So this completes our module 1. So I have assigned the quiz of the last session and this session also. So those who haven't taken the quiz, please kindly take on after the class. So now I will just take the attendance. If you are having any doubt, you are free to ask. So later I will just provide you a case study in order to understand how it has been implemented in some of the industries or organization, how they do the analysis brainstorming session to select a proper grade of the lubricant. So how the improvement and the performance of the moving component enhanced in bringing the required output to a really good area. Okay, so you will understand the importance of lubricants exactly in the machine component movements, whether it could be a small machine component or a huge machine component. Selection of an lubricant really plays a vital role. So I hope you have understood the importance of tribology and lubricant in our module 1. Hello. I haven't taken the attendance yet. Kindly respond. Hope the module 1 was clear enough. Ishant, answer your attendance. Akhil KV. Okay. Anil Kumar.
Yes, ma'am.
Gautam Krishna.
Yes, ma'am.
Balaji.
Yes, ma'am.
Deldar Muhammad Akram.
Yes, ma'am.
Chaitanya.
Yes, ma'am.
Dheeraj.
Yes, ma'am.
Ishant. Okay, Ishant responded. Gunsagar.
Yes, ma'am.
Harshit.
Yes, ma'am.
Gautam.
Yes, ma'am.
Kunal Rajkiran.
Brilliant, ma'am.
Mohammad Junaid. Okay. NS Sri Prasad.
Yes, ma'am.
Niharika.
Yes, ma'am.
Nikhil. Nikhil. Okay. Neerab. Okay. Prajwal.
Present, ma'am.
Rishabh. Rishabh.
Present, ma'am.
Sumant.
Present, ma'am.
Sagar,
Present, ma'am.
Shiv Krishna,
Yes, ma'am.
Shobit,
Yes, ma'am.
Siddharth Sridhar,
Yes, ma'am.
Subramanya,
Present, ma'am.
Tirumani Setti Rohan,
Present, ma'am.
Vidyan,
Present, ma'am.
the Varun.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. Anyone else whose name I haven't called on? Please see that everyone have written your name and USN number in the chat room. If anyone have not written, kindly do add on and see that you will take the quiz within the time. Okay, I saw that the last session quiz some of you have not taken yet. So kindly have the attendance list. So I will just see who were present in the class. So if those people have given the quiz, then it's fine. Okay, so later I will just share a case study to you all. Kindly go through it and I'll just inform you what to be done with respect to that case study. So again, until next class, take care, be safe, submit all the quizzes which are being given on time. I'm telling you again, it has marks. Kindly don't be idle in without submitting the quizzes. So it's equally important as you attend the classes. So if you attend the classes regularly, you will be able to kindly share. Yeah, I can share the PPT of today's class as well. I have shared all the classroom recordings until now and the PPT of module 1. So this lubricant selection part was not there in it. I will share today's PPT also as requested by the students. Any other thing? Okay, then take care. Have a nice day. Please submit the quiz before you go for the next class. It takes hardly 2-3 minutes. Just objective one. Kindly take the quiz and then go for the class. Thank you and take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, bye-bye.